Hello again, welcome to another edition of CropLife Retail Week. Paul Schrimpf here with Sfiligoj, again joining you virtually from the wild comforts of our own home. We'll be going back to the couch to lounge with the beer and a bag of pretzels after we're done, I'm sure. That's
All
what
right.
it's just how much leisure can I squeeze into one day without
I was
anyone
going to say,
knowing,
Paul, I did see a story about beer sales were up, given everybody's shelter at home, way of living these days. So yeah, I think there's something to that. So
Yeah, well, there you go. So, um, it's been really, if from the positive standpoint, it's been great to catch up with a lot of people. I've spent a lot of time on the phone, just talking to folks, finding out what they're doing, what's going on. Got a scouting story I was working on for the next issue, and it was interesting. Some of the conversations were, I had some with growers, producers, some with extension as well, and the idea of tying the data together into systems is really becoming a serious issue. And you look at some producers are really gravitating toward using things like climate field view because of the convenience of that stuff working across channels, across hardware and software, and less concerned about some of the privacy things and ownership things that they're coming up, but it's not as big a concern as is if they're really into the data and they want to, they really want to use it, that having connected systems is really like job one. And then, everything else, they're concerned about it, but it really has to, it has to connect. You have to connect planning data to field data to scouting data to harvest data and have it all tied together. And, as long as it gives them something functional to look at, and I should throw imagery in there as well, it gives them something functional to look at and make decisions with, and the data is valid, they're finding pretty good benefit from it.
yeah, I know that I've heard pretty much the same thing, Paul. I mean, this past week we had a webinar with a couple of experts talking about the state of the industry, and I know two of the panelists on the webinar were Amy Asmus, our friend from Asmus Farm Supply in Rake, Iowa, and Rod Wells from Growmark. And both of them mentioned that as well, with the technology becoming more important in the market. They also pointed out that I know a week or two ago I commented on the fact that corn planting and soybean plantings were in the single digits across the country. But according to what Amy said about Iowa and Rod said about Illinois, both of those states have made significant progress and are well on their way to finishing their corn planting and getting ready to jump into soybean here. So it sounds like there's been a lot of ground covered figuratively and literally over the last week or so.
Yep, and I see it's, at least here in Cleveland, it's hitting 70 degrees, so hopefully the temperatures are bumping up there for the places that have had trouble with cold, and we'll get emergence and get the season going. But yeah, it seems like in general things are at least going according to average, if not above average. So that's great to hear.
Yeah.
Except, well, I shouldn't say our friends. We talked to our friends at Cotton Grower down there, Cotton Grower Magazine, and here the Southeast and Mid-South have had lots of rain. That's been a struggle down there. Should not throw this as something across the country. I know there are people that are having struggles, but certainly in the Midwest, it's been generally pretty good.
Yeah, but I know that I did read something, I guess would be a little bit of a damper, as we've noted on this video the last couple of weeks. The corn plantings are supposed to be about 97 million acres, which would be like one of the largest on record if the harvest comes in as they're predicting. I did see that there was a story saying that a lot of corn, of course, about 2/3 of it goes for two different markets, ethanol and feed. And both of those markets are suffering at the moment, so that there's the possibility that corn prices could be depressed. This article mentioned that right now corn is trading at about $3 a bushel, which is down $1 a bushel over the last 8 weeks. So we'll have to see how that plays out over 2020 as we get through the year.
Yeah, the handful of calls I had with folks that were working on that side were lamenting they were at 290 when I was talking to them earlier this week, and it's just not going to bode well. If you have a bumper crop, another 97 million acres thrown at that, mess. What's it going to be like? Who knows?
Yeah,
It's
but
definitely uncertain times.
but there is some good news on the soybean front. I saw that through mid-April, China's buying more soybeans. They bought an additional 272,000 tons of soybean by April 10th. And also they're buying beef, apparently 3,000 tons of beef they've purchased in the month of April. So as the African swine flu epidemic hits their pork herds in China, apparently the populace is moving more to beef.
Yep, that market could use all help it can get. Goodness sakes.
So you
So what
had
else?
some news about trade shows, didn't you?
Oh yeah, it just literally came across, and I say just literally, and maybe everyone's heard about it by now. But the International Conference on Precision Agriculture has officially been postponed to 2022. That's the conference that used to be alternate years with InfoAg until InfoAg went annual, and it's generally a gathering of academic types, and fairly high level research on the precision side. Gets about 500 to 700 people together when it's really cranking. It was supposed to return to Minneapolis this year, and one of the places where it was founded, the University of Minnesota. But unfortunately, just with the uncertainty of the pandemic, they're taking the prudent route inside and postpone it to 2022. So wish them all the best. I'm sure we'll hear more about how they want to keep connected despite the cancellation. But yeah, yet another victim of the pandemic.
Yeah, that's too bad. I know there've been a lot of trade shows, of course, that have been postponed, gone virtual, or just outright canceled this year and here in 2020. But I did see, Paul, I guess positive thinking, way forward thinking. Our friends at the Commodity Classic put out a note saying that registration for exhibit space on their show floor in San Antonio next March is now going to be opening here on May 11th. So, and that'll be, of course, the 25th anniversary show for Commodity Classic. So, our grower friends, associations who put that event together, are very forward thinking and very positive that there will be a show and a gathering in Texas come next March.
Sure, absolutely. It seems like they're usually sold out at this time, and they said they're nearly sold out. So perhaps just a little uncertainty regarding booth sales and people trying to figure out what's going to happen in 2021. But certainly. Certainly, I think the getting out early is probably prudent. Trying to keep it on everyone's radar, let people know that it's moving forward, and certainly that doesn't seem like it'll be in any danger. But Lord knows anymore.
Yeah, and only one other thing to add. I know that about a week and a half ago, I sent out the mid-year surveys for our CropLife 100. Surveys to the folks in the marketplace to get their read, that we could put together an article here in the June edition of CropLife. I was hoping to get those back by Monday, May 4th. So if you've gotten it back already, I thank you very much for your information. But obviously I sent out about 100 of those, and I don't have 100 back yet. So if you still have one sitting in your inbox and you're waiting to get to it, and if it happens to be raining over the next couple of days, take the 10 or 15 minutes it might take you to fill that in and get it back to me by Monday. I would appreciate it.
I'm sorry, we are not Publishers Clearinghouse. We will not show up with $1,000 a week for life if you fill that out. But we really do appreciate you doing it, because it does get us a lot of tremendous information, and everything we share with you guys in the magazine and online. And really, we take it all apart and give it right back to you in aggregated format. So hopefully it gives you a read on your business and maybe compared to other folks as well. So please do take a few minutes to do that. Thank you. Anything else?
No, I think that covers it for me. Have you got anything else?
I don't think so. I don't really want to talk about any of the other bad news that's going on. I mean, we're just kind of dealing with it, and everyone seems to know everything and nothing at the same time. So I think we're just going to keep on keeping on, and say, I know we've been told we'll be home for at least a few more weeks. So we'll keep that going remote, and look forward to seeing you again soon. Why don't you close it out? I'm tired of closing it out.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us for this edition of CropLife Retail Week. We will see you again real soon.
If you have questions or comments about today's episode of Retail Week, contact us by email or Twitter, or type your message in the comment section below.
Your feedback is important to us. We'll try our best to address your thoughts in next week's episode.
And be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel.